Hey, what's going on, guys? Jason here. Today I'm going to talk about what JSX is and show you a basic example of how it works. So JSX is, according to the React docs, a syntax extension for JavaScript. So basically, so right now I have a CodePen up and it has the React libraries imported so we can start using React. So right now I just have a greeting function component and it's returning some JSX right here. So if you notice, this looks like regular HTML. Even though it looks like HTML, it's actually JSX. And so if we look here, we are returning an H1 with hello there. Um, and after that, we are using the React DOM library to render out to the DOM basically our HTML that we want. And so what's happening here is we're actually making use of the Babel library, and what Babel is a JavaScript compiler. And so browsers. So if you want to use the latest JavaScript syntax like ES 2015 and beyond, there's some browsers that don't support the latest features and syntax. So what we usually do is we run it through the Babel compiler, and what happens is that we run the ES 2015 files through the Babel compiler, and then that'll spit out ES5 files, so regular JavaScript files, and then it'll send it to the browser. So that way we can go ahead and code in the latest and greatest JavaScript features, essentially. And what Babel does, it actually also compiles JSX syntax to regular JavaScript. And so how that works is we'll use the Babel website to kind of show us how it's compiling. And so again, like in the CodePen example, I have a greeting functional component which is returning some JSX. And if we look at the right side, this is spitting out some regular JavaScript. So as you can see, we are we're making use of the React library and the create element method. And what that method does is it takes in a few arguments. First, it takes in the argument, and the first argument is going to tell us what type of HTML tag we want to essentially render out. And then the third one here is going to render out what we want to render out inside that tag. So in this case, we just have the string hello there. And so, and also down here we have the React DOM, which is going to actually render to the DOM what we want the HTML to be. So we're using the create element as well, and in here we're passing in greeting. And as you can see over here, we're passing in the some JSX syntax, which is so it's passing in the greeting component, and over here it's just passing in. It's also using the create element method, passing in the greeting function, and then we're for the second argument we're just targeting a HTML element in the DOM to render out our HTML that we want to the page. Excuse me. And so, yep, so as you can see, that's what JSX is. It's basically a syntax extension, so that way we can write more readable code so that we can essentially make more complex UIs. So let's say I did a a div and I nested that h1 inside that div. So this here looks pretty simple, but as you look at the right side and when it gets compiled, it looks a little bit more complex. So as you can see, we're doing the React create element. We want to create a div, and then for the third argument, it's going to be the child. So that child will be another element. So we're going to do another react.create element. This one's going to be an h1, and its child is going to be the hello there string. And so as you can see, if we start nesting more and more JSX, or I guess you can say like HTML type syntax, it can get pretty complex if we try to write it out using the regular JavaScript way with the React create element. So that's what JSX gives us. It basically gives us a nice, clean, and easy to read way to write out our React applications. And so Babel is basically compiling that JSX into regular JavaScript. So that's the basics of what JSX is and what is going on under the hood. And so in another video, I'll go more in depth into what other features JSX has that we can use when we use it. So hopefully this video was helpful for you guys. Hopefully you learned something. If you guys enjoyed this video, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more content like this, go ahead and subscribe. Thanks for watching, guys. Have a good day.